Long before the clash of titans, before fists shattered mountains and roars echoed across canyons, there were two men, both victims of a cruel world. One cursed by death, the other by life. One lost in the mud of forgotten swamps, the other hunted through deserts, cities, and war zones. Their fates were never meant to cross, but fate has always had other plans. Slaughter Swamp was a place even death feared. Nestled on the outskirts of Gotham's shadow, this grotesque mire festered like an open wound on the earth's skin. Mist clung to the water like a shroud, and the trees twisted skyward like skeletal arms, reaching for salvation. The swamp was quiet, but not dead. Deep in its heart, something ancient stirred. He awoke again. He always did. Solomon Grundy, born on a Monday. The voice was gravel and thunder. The hulking corpse clawed his way out of the swamp's foul waters, mud dripping from his pale grey skin like blood from an open wound. Tattered trousers clung to his massive legs. His jacket, once black, now hung in strips, swallowed by rot. His eyes were pale voids, but behind them churned a storm of primal fury. Grundy's smash? Each resurrection left him more fragmented, more monstrous, a mockery of humanity, driven not by purpose but by instinct. Yet something was different this time. In the haze of undeath, a name clawed its way into Grundy's shattered mind. Hulk. The very sound of it sent tremors through the decaying veins of the giant. Hulk, the green monster whispered about in the recesses of dying soldiers' minds, the being who brought down gods with his fists. Somewhere, somehow, Grundy had seen him. Perhaps in another life, perhaps in a forgotten battle, perhaps in one of his many deaths. But now that name clung to his soul like fire clings to oil. The swamp trembled as Grundy rose to his full height, 7.5 feet tall, pure sinew and bone, animated by the black magic of the swamp and the rage of a man denied rest. He began to walk, not aimlessly this time, but westward, drawn by a magnetic pull. He didn't know who Hulk was. He only knew that if someone else claimed the title of strongest, that someone had to be broken. Far from the haunted marsh, in the remote wilderness of Montana, another man sat quietly beside a crackling fire. Dr. Bruce Banner, the tortured genius and unwilling host of the world's angriest monster, stared at the stars. His clothes were worn, his face weary. Peace was always temporary for Bruce, like a dream you try to hold on to after waking. But in this moment, under the endless stars, and with the sounds of nocturnal wildlife chirping softly, he found a fragment of calm. He sipped from a tin cup of herbal tea and breathed slowly. The wilderness was his sanctuary. No labs, no cities, no battles. But peace has a price. A buzzing sound came from his weathered sat phone. A secure shield frequency lit up. Dr. Banner, we've got something unusual, something big. And undead. Bruce raised an eyebrow. He's cutting a path straight through Kansas. Destruction looks similar to your other half. But it's not Gamma. It's something else. Something older. We've intercepted fragments of speech. It keeps repeating one word, Hulk. Bruce's eyes narrowed. Don't send anyone. I'll handle it. He clicked off the device. A breeze blew through the pine trees. The birds had gone silent. He wasn't alone anymore. Grundy's march was a thing of legend. Farmers fled their lands. Forests fell like dominoes. The earth itself seemed to groan beneath his tread. He didn't move fast, but he never stopped. His presence spread like a disease. Everything rotted in his wake. And his chant echoed like a funeral dirge. Grundy hate. Grundy smash. Grundy strongest. By the time he reached Glacier Ridge, the wildlife had scattered. The mountain valley was silent, heavy with anticipation. And then Bruce Banner stood alone at the ridge's base, backpack slung over one shoulder, eyes closed. Last chance, he whispered to himself. Turn back, don't do this. But he knew it was too late. His breath hitched, the air turned heavy. Trees cracked in the distance. Then he saw him. Solomon Grundy emerged like a nightmare from the tree line, enormous, soaked in swamp filth and built like a graveyard golem. His eyes locked onto Bruce. He stopped. You not green yet, Grundy growled. But you will be. Bruce sighed. I didn't want this. His skin rippled, his muscles swelled, bones cracked, stretched, reshaped. Then came the roar. Like thunder ripping open the sky, the Hulk exploded forth. Massive, monstrous, glowing with raw power. "You want Hulk?" he bellowed. "You found him," Grundy grinned. The two beasts stared at each other, a frozen moment carved in time, like gods meeting at the edge of the world. Both were born of tragedy. Neither chose this path, but now it would end with violence. Fist against fist, monster against monster. Grundy, the undead titan, Hulk, the living engine of rage, and the earth would never be the same again. The air cracked with tension. Two juggernauts stood face to face, hulking titans forged by pain, cursed by fate and driven by pure, unfiltered rage. Hulk, Solomon Grundy. There was no diplomacy, no words, no hesitation. Grundy struck first. With a roar that shook the mountain trees, the undead brute lunged, his massive fists crashing into the Hulk's chest like twin wrecking balls. The shockwave blasted through the ridge, sending birds scattering and splitting nearby trees at their trunks. Hulk skidded backward, boots carving trenches in the dirt, but he didn't fall. He grinned. "Good hit," Hulk growled. Now Hulk's turn. And then he hit back. Hulk's fist slammed into Grundy's face with seismic force, sending the gray giant flying. Grundy smashed through a line of pines, then a boulder the size of a car, before crashing into the side of a cliff face. The ground quaked, and a flock of deer bolted from the valley in sheer terror. Grundy rose, dazed but grinning. "Grundy like this," he chuckled, blood oozing from his lip. "You hit harder than swamp rats." He stomped forward again, swinging a fallen tree like a club. Hulk ducked, then caught the makeshift weapon mid-swing. Muscles bulged. The tree exploded into splinters between Hulk's hands. Now they were truly unleashed. Grundy barreled into Hulk, and the two titans crashed through the forest, demolishing acres of wilderness as they grappled, punched, and tore at one another like primal beasts. Hulk lifted Grundy overhead and slammed him into the earth, carving a crater 20 feet wide. Grundy rolled, grabbing Hulk by the ankle and flinging him skyward like a ragdoll. Hulk smashed into a granite cliff, sending boulders tumbling. Grundy leapt up after him, only to be met midair by Hulk's rising uppercut. Boom! The sky lit up with the force of the blow. Grundy soared backwards in an arc, hitting the ground like a meteor. The impact caused a landslide. Dust filled the air. "Is that all?" Hulk roared. From the rubble, Grundy slowly stood. Cracks ran down his body. One eye had swollen shut, but he kept coming. "Grundy can't die," he growled. "Grundy, don't stop." He tackled Hulk again, this time locking him in a bone-crushing bear hug. Ribs groaned. Hulk's face twisted in pain, but then, "You can't break Hulk!" With a thunderous yell, Hulk flexed and broke the hold, lifting Grundy by the waist and delivering a spine-shattering slam into the rock bed below. Before Grundy could rise, Hulk grabbed both of his legs and swung him. The undead giant's body smashed into the mountainside over and over. Boom! Boom, boom, until the cliff collapsed. The mountain wept stone. Grundy lay at the bottom, buried in rubble, motionless. But still, he twitched. Still he rose. Bruised, broken, body mangled, but defiant. "Hulk strong," he admitted, coughing black sludge. But Grundy? Never lose. Hulk stood atop a fallen boulder, chest heaving, fists clenched. He looked down. "You don't get it," he said coldly. "You already lost." And then Hulk leapt straight down, with the full weight of his rage behind him. The final blow cracked the earth like a dying planet. A shockwave flattened the surrounding valley. A pulse of dust erupted into the sky like a nuclear blast. When it cleared, Solomon Grundy lay crumpled in a crater, unmoving, bones shattered, body twitching. Whatever life, or mockery of it, animated him was now dim. Hulk stood above him, battered, bloody, panting. "Stay down," he growled, but Grundy didn't respond. For the first time in decades, the undead monster stayed still, not dead, but defeated. And for Hulk, that was enough. He turned and began walking back into the forest, leaving behind a broken legend. The whisper of the wind through the trees seemed to speak the words left unsaid. Born on a Monday, smashed on a Sunday.